You're listening to the TJ Moore Podcast. Today's guest is Tiffany Jones. She is a certified neuroscience coach. Welcome to the show, Tiffany.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Now, you have a lot of exciting projects in development, especially with the books that you're writing, and you also have created custom coaching programs, and I'll ask you more about those later. You host many kinds of events, workshops, retreats, speaking at conferences. So I want to start with this question. What exactly is neuroscience coaching?
Neuroscience coaching just takes the things that we've learned from scientists about our brain and applies it to different aspects of our lives. So I primarily use it to talk to people about motivation and goal setting or reevaluating their goals. Most people are motivated by either one of two things. One, they're motivated by the end of a project, some sort of like achievement. And then others are actually motivated by the process of whatever that task is. And so it's helpful to identify what it is that motivates the person. So when they're setting goals, they can understand, do I need to include things that motivate me in my goal setting? Or do I need to ensure that the things that help me reach my goals are things that I would choose to do? Because for those people that are motivated by the process of a task, they'll only be motivated to do that if they enjoy it.
How did you get started on the path of neuroscience coaching?
I suffered from depression for almost 20 years. Almost 10 years ago now, I experienced healing. I was able to just start a new path in life, and it was amazing. And I initially thought, oh, that's kind of nice. I hope this lasts. And then it was, I need this to last. And I started researching a lot. I wanted to understand what changed, why my brain was working differently. I started following a lot of neuroscientists and psychiatrists and just reading their books and finding them on podcasts to listen to and just gain knowledge from them. And I found myself mentoring people about what I learned. Eventually it became, wouldn't that be cool if this was my job? And so I looked into like different coaching certifications, and I found one on specifically neuroscience, and I was so excited. I was like, that is exactly what I've been studying for the last 8 years, and I'd really love to be able to use that to reach more people.
Why would someone be looking for this type of coaching?
The people that I help the most are people who are shifting in life. And so I love to help people that they know that they're made for more than what they're doing, but they just feel like there's something holding them back. And so we talk a lot about what barriers they're facing and maybe even uncovering some of those barriers.
A lot of those limiting beliefs can be very subconscious, or they're in our blind spots. Mm-hmm. I know for me, it's like they're literally the dialogue that's running in the back of your mind when you're brushing your teeth. For me, it's when I'm getting ready in the morning that I'm the most, I feel sometimes attacked by unwanted thoughts or anxiety.
Yeah.
What are some of the limiting beliefs that can hold us back?
Most people, they have limiting beliefs coming from either people that they've grown up with, their parents, coaches, teachers from school, or they just have this narrative based on the way they feel perceived in the world. I think it's really important to take time. I do that in workshops or with my coaching clients. We have a worksheet that I work through with them about uncovering those. A lot of them look like I am too something or not enough of something.
One that was surprising was, it's too late for me.
Or too early. I'm too young. Yeah.
How do our limiting beliefs change at different stages of life?
I think it's funny because at some point along the way, if you thought, I'm not ready, I'm too young, nobody's going to take me seriously, at some point that script flips to, oh, now I'm too old. I should have done this to be more prepared. A lot of times when you really get to the core of this limiting belief, it's I'm comparing myself to a fictional character. It's interesting. I talked a lot with my oldest child. She really struggled through her teen years with, I think all girls get a little bit of insecurity at some point. And so it was interesting to me to pick up on the things she was insecure about. She always compared to what she considered perfection and would ignore any good qualities about herself. She'd be so hyper-focused on that one negative thing. And when we really look at our limiting beliefs, that's what we're doing. We're taking something we don't like about ourselves and comparing it to our idea of perfection and excluding anything else that's good. We're like hyper-focused on that one aspect. And so when we can come to that realization of this is all about me comparing myself to something that's not even real, then we can start to tear down, get to the root of what do I actually want?
And this concept of perfectionism is so linked to this idea of imposter syndrome. And we hear this in so many conversations, sometimes jokingly, because people will say, oh, I just have imposter syndrome, and that's why I can't do it.
Imposter syndrome is a lie that, one, someone out there should be the best at this one thing you want to do. And two, they should be the only one doing it.
It's part of setting these impossible standards for ourselves that we probably would not hold a certain standard for a friend or coworker, but we do hold it for ourselves. And some other common fears that are associated with imposter syndrome is the fear of being found out that we're not who we say we are. Okay, that we're operating outside of integrity, being judged by others, not belonging, even the fear of asking for help. What other emotions are activated by this imposter feeling?
I think a lot of people struggle with imposter syndrome because they don't know their authentic self. I think that comes from in most of Western culture, we've grown up in traditional schools where you're supposed to sit at a desk for several hours of the day and conform. If you have any kind of neurodivergence, you probably were told many times throughout your schooling that you were supposed to sit down, that you needed to stop talking, that you needed to stop asking so many questions. If you don't know who you are authentically, then of course you're going to be afraid of someone else finding out who you are because you won't know if they're right or not. So I think that's something that I try to help people really get to the core of who they are, what they like, what they don't like, what they believe, and how that might motivate them to make certain decisions. Because if you're living as your authentic self, then you should not have fear of someone finding out who you are. You're already living that way.
There was a podcast where Carolyn Miss, she's the author of Sacred Contracts and many other books, she answered this concept about identity and how do you know you're on the right path? And her answer was, you know you're on the right path when you no longer betray yourself.
Oh, that's a great point. I think people who really struggle with their identity, with being authentic, are so quick to hear a person say, oh, you're good at that, you should try it, or you should do that. They're just going to do it. Someone told me I was good at it. And they don't do any self-reflection on, would I actually want to do that?
It seems that now more than ever, we have to be intentional about spending time with friends, family, getting involved in our community. And I want to share a couple facts about how smartphones and, of course, AI now have affected us socially. 80% of people wake up and check their phone within 10 minutes of waking. I grew up in the 90s, and it would never occur to me to roll out of bed and call somebody at 7 a.m. But we have this mentality with, we got to check all the notifications right away while you're still in bed. And then people spend between 6 and 7 hours on their smartphone every day. Usually that's, of course, in the evening. We have less face-to-face interaction. We have increased feelings of loneliness. We have more comparison and social pressure. More than 80% of some of the younger generations, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, feel anxious without their phone.
Just watch people in a coffee shop, even people that are there intentionally to connect. People do not have the same facial expressions they once did. people have lost the ability to react to the same degree because we're being surprised by things on a phone, but we don't react to what we see on our phone because there's not a person in front of us and our brain understands that. So we're not having the same type of interaction. And it's almost like our face has gotten lazy. So you go watch a Zoom call. There's a bunch of people on there. Nobody is making any signs of life responses to the person speaking.
Third places are a term in sociology where we have the first place would be our home. The second place would be like where we work or things that we do on a daily basis in our routine. But the third place in your life is where you would intentionally go to be around people, like the library, the coffee shop, church, a gathering, that are the community event spaces. And this has been researched in sociology to be shown that there are a decreasing number of places people can go to get together or host something for free.
We need to find other people that see the benefit of this, that see the need for it, and work together to create more opportunities to come as a community and support one another.
Your first book was a Christian devotional on mental health called The Cursed Brain. So I wanted to share a quick review that someone wrote about the book. Vivian wrote, "This little book is packed with information backed by scripture. No one should have to face the criticism of others who do not understand mental illnesses." So did you have an experience with this idea of criticism and mental health in your own life?
I like to tell people I felt like the problem with the culture I grew up in was that there's a lot of unbalanced truth. It's not that what they were saying was wrong. It just wasn't balanced with grace and really kindness sometimes. There's a lot of just don't be like that. Okay, well, how? Could someone tell me how to not be anxious all the time, to not struggle with depression? And so there's just not a lot of compassion for people that struggled with mental illness in the area that I grew up in.
You're now launching a nonprofit to support mothers called Young Nest Community. What inspired you to start that organization in your area?
When I published my first book, it was primarily written to teens and young adults. And as I started getting feedback from it, a lot of mothers were saying, I got this to read with my preteen, teen, and I didn't realize how much I needed it. And it really brought me back to those years that I suffered with depression. I was a mom with little kids and really was fighting for my life. And I didn't know what I needed to be healthier. And I know that community was such a vital part of my healing. And so I want to create space for moms to come together, to support one another, to set that example for their kids that we do community in this house. We go and we are with other friends and we support one another to live healthy lives.
And I want to mention for the listeners that your first book, The Cursed Brain, is now available on Amazon.com for paperback, Kindle, and also you have an audiobook version on Audible. What are some of the activities and events that you're going to be doing with this Young Nest community?
Yeah, this summer I'm hoping to do several different park meetups. We're going to have a bunch of bubbles and just hang out at the park for a few hours, and then we have some more events coming up where we will meet up at the zoo. There's a bunch of parks in our area, so I think we'll just do a little park hop throughout the summer. We'll do some mom's night out also. It's very important for moms to connect without the kiddos interrupting sometimes.
So Tiffany also has a fiction book series that she's working on, and the book that she's going to be releasing this year in 2026 is called Secrets in the Storm. Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
This book is inspired by the book of Job. I think that there's a lot to learn about how someone suffers and how they are treated as someone suffering through the book of Job. And this book is a story of a girl, a young lady, that is watching her father go through a difficult time and how he's treated in that. And she's really wrestling with the ways that people talk to him, rumors that have been spread about him. And it's a story of watching this betrayal unfold. My goal in this fiction piece is to help people who have struggled with feeling mistreated in difficult times to see that that is not what God would intend for them. Someone can kind of think through the ways they see their family treated, but that there's still beauty in the midst of sorrow sometimes.
And will this new book also be released in paperback and Kindle?
Yes.
So Tiffany has created a program that is for coaching called Know the Way, Wisdom for Building Success. And this is a collaboration she's doing with another coach whose name is Martine. Can you just describe how that works when you guys are working with the same client and helping them and using your different strengths through the process?
My friend Martine is phenomenal at helping people transform. She really is persistent and passionate to help people have a breakthrough, to really understand what barriers have kept them from the journey that they're meant to live. And I have skills in being strategic. I use that neuroscience coaching to really understand what will help someone be motivated to continue past that breakthrough and stay focused on achieving their success. And so it's been really beautiful to use each other's strengths, as Martine has 2 sessions with that client to get that breakthrough. And then they come on with me for at least 4 more sessions. If they feel that they'd like to work longer, then we can do some bundles to extend that. But our goal is to really just set you up for success and let you run with it.
I want to share Tiffany's website, and this is where you can find her books, her coaching program, and also the events that she's hosting. So it's called tiffanyjonesspeaks.com. And you can also directly email her or fill out the contact form. And I want to share a phrase that you've written on the homepage: be empowered to live authentically through purposeful self-care. This gives leverage to increase capacity for what matters most.
When you have the mental load of negativity released, then you have the opportunities to do the things you really enjoy.
It reminds me of the way they've visualized it in the Inside Out movies, where you're seeing all the other emotions come in and cloud Riley's judgment.
Yes.
Do you remember that scene in the second movie where she's sort of having a panic attack and anxiety is like controlling every single button and lever?
Yes. I'm like, oh, that's me in high school. Yes.
At that age, especially being a kid or going into middle school, high school, it's so great that now we have these visual examples in movies and TV shows to give kids a language for things that are, they're only felt internally. They're only felt inside their own mind or their own soul. But if they don't have the language to discuss those emotions, it can just feel like lonely, or that these things are only happening to me.
Sure.
And it can make us feel more separate.
That isolation just perpetuates mental illness struggles, which is why community is so important. When you get stuck in that mindset of, I'm the only person struggling with this, you're just stuck in a shame spiral that I think is why community was so vital for me.
Tiffany, I want to thank you so much for joining me for today's conversation, and for also giving us all the info on your book and your upcoming book and how people can get involved with your coaching program with Martine. I just really appreciate having you on today.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed chatting with you.
To hear more experts share their story, subscribe to the TJ Moore podcast on YouTube. And follow this show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts to listen anywhere you go. Like and comment on this video if you found today's conversation valuable, and share this episode with someone in your life. I'll see you next week.